Seems like Ricky Starks is potentially heading to WWE, almost like some of his other counterparts who have gone to WWE from AEW. For the most part, WWE has made good use out of people that have come out of AEW, almost using them like a training ground or a building ground. Once nobody's really been able to cross over to AEW that way that wasn't already a star, but there are a few in AEW, like Darby Allin and stuff. But, Ricky Starks really got buried by Edge. Edge arrived in AEW, and Edge destroyed Ricky Starks one night on the mic. I mean, that was an absolute destruction of Ricky Starks. So he looks like he's heading to WWE, I would think, but maybe not. Maybe they see him as another vanilla midget. He is kind of like The Rock's little doppelganger, as Edge once destroyed him which was a hilarious segment.
That with those bug eyes, sir. I'm talking to this guy.
It's your stupid silk slacks, dumbass.
Yeah, well, sadly you didn't take style from the other place, but either way.
And you took it from The Rock.
Either
Good job.
way.
Can't help that you're a vanilla midget version of that, but shut your mouth and talk to him instead of me, kid.
Thanks.
Know your role.
Wow, that really set me over the edge. Either way, Brian.
Oh, dude.
Either way.
I remember breaking this down for like an hour the night that it happened. Honestly, Ricky Stark should have said something like, oh, that's great. You compare me to The Rock. Does that mean you see movie star in me? Because when I get done conquering AEW, maybe conquering a few other federations as well, when I get done with all that, then I will be a superstar, a movie star. I won't have some lowly role in a Vikings movie and then have everything dry up and then have to risk my life to come back to wrestling in order to make ends meet like you, Edge, little Adam Copeland, or whatever you call yourself here in AEW, because you weren't smart enough to legally obtain that name somewhere else. But the bottom line is this. If you want to compare me to The Rock, that's fine, because I'm a winner just like The Rock, and someday you're going to see it, and someday those words, you're going to eat them, my friend. But anyway, let's get back to you, Daniel Bryan, Brian Danielson, whatever your name is now. And by the way, Adam Copeland, I like what you did there, try to get yourself over by getting involved in my situation with me and Brian Danielson. You see that, Danielson? Keep your eyes on him, because this guy, he can't help it. He's got to be in the spotlight, but he's a sick bastard just like you little vanilla midget Daniel Bryan. There's something like that, but he didn't do that. He just sort of was like, oh, that really sent me over the edge, I mean, that was terrible. But also, he's continued to get the heat on himself, but I think it was ugly. It didn't look good. Edge buried him on the microphone. I think Starks, honestly, to be honest, if you did that to me and I was a rookie, I would have just said, all right, I mean, there's two ways you can go. You can refocus it to Brian Danielson and try to get back on point to what you're supposed to be doing. But then now you haven't responded to what, Adam Copeland just did. And honestly, I don't know exactly the right answer, but I might have derailed the whole thing. I might have said, fine, you want to make this about you and me? Let's make this about you and me. Brian Danielson, why don't you step back? I'll handle you in a second. Let's talk about Mr. Fragile Neck real quick, okay? Let's talk about the home wrecker. Let's talk about the guy who didn't secure the right name in a different company that's over here now because his Hollywood career failed, so he had to come back to wrestling. Let's talk about you. You're on the downward spiral, my friend. You're rolling down the hill, and you're trying to punch up. You're trying to punch down, but that ain't going to work here, my friend. You can punch down all you want, but my star is starting to rise. Every single day it's rising up, and one day I will be like The Rock. I'll be in Hollywood. I'll be making tons of money. I'll be bigger than The Rock ever was, and you'll remember this moment when at the bottom of the barrel of your career you had to try to punch down on Ricky Starks, whose star was rising, and I'm going to remember it. Someday you're going to run out of money. You're going to beg Ricky Starks, remember when I was good for you? Remember when I was good to you? Oh, please let my son or my child have a car. Please let him. Oh, blah, blah, blah. That's what you're going to do. You're going to cry. You're going to whine. You're going to bitch in a broken neck in a bed in a hospital somewhere. But I'll still be Ricky Starks, baby. Like something like that. And just gone. I'm sorry, I just went off on a complete tangent. But I might have just lost it because he really got buried here. And this was pretty much the moment we knew he was dead. I've been saying he was dead for a while, though, because I never saw it in Ricky Starks anyway. A lot of other people did. I think I see it a little bit in Ricky Starks. It's just that I don't. What they did with him was always bad. And I'm like, what do you see is going to happen with this guy? I don't understand it. And I kind of agree with Edge in a way. The guy's all silky, sexy, and he comes out and nothing else happens. The guy would be probably pretty good in a tag team in WWE, and that's about it. But maybe there's more to Ricky Starks. God knows I was wrong about the other guy that came from AEW and went to NXT, and my God, he's doing really well. And, of course, that guy is Ethan Page. I had to think of his name for a second. Ethan Page really converted really well. Keith Lee, he could be coming back in AEW finally. It's been like almost 2 years, I think, a year and a half since we've seen Keith Lee. I hope that's the case, and I hope he's okay. Obviously, I really crapped on Keith Lee for a while because he thought he just seemingly so much better than a character that Vince McMahon created when, Vince has created so many great characters. And the guy didn't understand things and whatever, and it's like, well, what are you doing now? But I think Triple H booked Keith Lee the best. I really think that Keith Lee would be in the best hands if he was working for and with Triple H, because Triple H understands him. He understands how to get through to him, and I just have Keith Lee has been the most successful in NXT of WWE, and he's also been the most successful on the indies. But Keith Lee has not been very successful on the WWE main roster, and that's because he didn't believe in what Vince McMahon was doing, and also what Vince McMahon was doing was probably stupid. So you put those two things together, a stupid idea with a guy who doesn't believe in it, and you're done, and that's what happened. That's why Stardust kind of worked, even though it was ridiculous, because at least Cody Rhodes put it all into it. In AEW, Keith Lee has been a lost mess, but also he's had major medical issues, and they stem from COVID, I believe. Now, I don't know anything about his medical situation or whatever else, but it does feel like a dangerous situation. Unfortunately, bless their hearts, rest their souls. I can't believe we're saying this, that they're dead, but, Luke Harper, Brody Lee, and Bray Wyatt, both passed away from heart issues and weird lung, just strange illnesses that you almost wonder if COVID had something to do with kickstarting those things up. And Keith Lee is the same way. He feels like he had that COVID and he's never really recovered fully from it because of the inflammation and destruction it did to the body. And there's so many people that are injured and hurt still to this day because of the COVID vaccine or because of COVID itself. Because really they're similar in a way that they create this inflammation in your body, allegedly, apparently, that, just makes it very hard to recover from and does damage to your internal organs. I know the pain in my organs, and then I got my gallbladder 2 months after COVID. I never even thought about it, but yeah, that could have triggered it. That inflammation could have kickstarted my gallbladder problems. Never even thought about it because it wreaks havoc with your body, and you're not the same necessarily. Even though you feel great, you may feel like, oh man, I just beat COVID. 4 months later, 5 months later, 2 years later, stuff happens. Heart things happen and stuff like that. So anyway, I hope that there's been a result with Keith Lee, or, is he wrestling under the sort of risk it? I don't know what's going to happen. Or has he been fixed? I don't know. We don't know that medical information about Keith Lee, obviously, and he may never talk about it. Seems like a very private guy. But I am happy that hopefully Tony Khan apparently has kept him on the payroll to pay him to take care of him in whatever aspect. I hope that's true because Keith Lee seems like a really nice guy. And we all really hope that Keith Lee had been good. And I know that I bashed him for a while because I thought he kind of deserved it for about how he sort of scoffed at the WWE's treatment of him when he wouldn't commit to the character. But Keith Lee was really good in NXT as just Keith Lee, just being a big guy, awesome talent who can do some kind of gymnastics out there. And I think that Triple H controls and works with him the best. So that being said, this is the last chance with Tony Khan in AEW with Keith Lee if he does come back that way. If not, I would strongly recommend that Keith Lee reach out to Triple H and Triple H, give him like a 1-year contract or something to see what they can do. Because I think that he's best served in that aspect. And then maybe after that, he can become some kind of a wrestling coach or behind-the-scenes guy where he can work with some bigger guys because he knows that he knows that so well. And so maybe he could be someone who could do that. I don't know. and I don't know the situations. But that being said, that's it. I got a bunch of shorts, a bunch of other videos and stuff like that for you guys to check out. They're popping up now on your screen. Guys, binge some of my shorts. Help me out and binge them right now. But also be entertained by them. They're 20 seconds to a minute long. Check them out if you haven't checked them out before. They're popping up right now on your screen. There's a link in the middle. Enjoy that. Those are my shorts. I'm Joe Cronin, and please think about supporting the channel. PayPal.me/Joe Cronin Show.